Hello. Welcome to the Empowered Artist Collective podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Apple, a multi-hyphenate actor, educator, acting coach, writer, dog mom, and founder of this vibrant community that champions artists as they carve out their own unique paths in this wild industry. Whether you're just starting out, in the thick of it, or seeking a bit of artistic fuel to expand your toolbox, you're in the right place. In this space, we'll have honest conversations, share actionable strategies, tips, and resources, and delve into the messy yet beautiful journey of living a sustainable, creative life. We unmask the reality of life as an artist, from navigating career highs and lows to nurturing your full human well-being. I chat with women and non-binary guests who share their personal stories, helpful learnings, and hearts to help you unlock your artistic potential, expand your knowledge, and show up fully and fearlessly in your artistry and daily life. Before we dive into this week's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If today's chat resonates with you, please leave us a review. It helps us reach even more incredible artists just like you. And hey, feel free to spread the love. Share this podcast with a friend or post it on your socials, making sure to tag at Empowered Artist Collective and at @JenniferApple_ so we can chat with you there. All right, grab a cup of something cozy, settle in, and let's get to it. What does the ecosystem of a casting office and career look like? In this episode of our Casting Director miniseries, I chat with casting director and co-owner of the TRC Company, Claire Burke. Claire shares her journey from intern to co-owner, offering a glimpse into the intricate workings of a casting office. She emphasizes the need to balance artistic intuition with analytical skills for her job, the importance of reading the room during auditions for performers, and never underestimating a specific submission or attending an EPA. Together, we discuss maintaining a website to enhance visibility, embracing elements out of one's control, and insights for aspiring casting directors on breaking into the industry. Whether you're an actor seeking to better understand the role of a casting director or someone interested in becoming one, this episode sheds light on the ins and outs of the casting world. Enjoy. Claire Burke, welcome to the space.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so pumped for you to be here. For anybody who does not know you, who are you today?
You know, today I am Summer Friday Claire. It is a Friday in mid-August. It is, I think, very warm outside, but I wouldn't know because I haven't set foot outside today. I'm just easing into my weekend here. That's who I am today. It's a good place to be.
Yeah. I love the, we notice the environment outside our window, but we're not participating in it, but we can feel like we are.
Yeah. And that is, I mean, in New York, it's a luxury to even see the environment outside my window.
Yeah. And the Friday of it all in the summertime is like a different kind of quiet. I mean, it's a relative quiet, but when we know what it could be, I feel like that's a different vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love it.
Sure.
It's for anybody who does not know what you do in this gorgeous industry. How do you find yourself in this career?
So I am a casting director and one of the co-owners at the TRC Company, which is a casting office formerly known as Tara Rubin Casting. We're really the same company as Tara Rubin Casting, all the same people. We've just switched over ownership in the last few months. And prior to Tara Rubin Casting, there was a company called Johnson Liff Casting where Tara worked. So we kind of consider ourselves the next, just the next era of this very long-standing tradition of casting offices. We work on a whole lot of musical theater. We also do some plays. We do lots of regional plays and musicals, and we are starting to dipping our toes into some film and TV. And that's something I know we're all excited to learn about as we go through the next few years in the business. But I started at Tara's office in 2013 as an intern.
I love it.
And so most of my casting career has been with her and just coming up through this office.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the co-ownership. It's a big deal. And I think for folks to hear that you started as an intern and now you're co-owning a casting company that is an insanely gorgeous legacy is inspirational, but also really freaking cool. And so I hope that you've been able to celebrate that transition and that growth. It's a lot of growth.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I feel like I'm so in the midst of the day-to-day and the hubbub of everything that sometimes I need to step back and look at the larger picture. Like, even saying I started in 2013, which is
Yeah.
12 years ago, it doesn't feel like I've been doing this for 12
Yeah.
years. Like, it feels
Yeah.
like yesterday in some ways. And then
Yeah.
in other ways, it feels like, I've grown a whole lot and know so much more than I did
Yeah.
when I first got into this business.
Well, I'm curious how you got into this business from this angle. Like, what made you go into casting? How did you even know that this was a thing? Where did you begin your origins with all of it?
Like many theater professionals in all walks, I went to school for acting.
Hmm.
I went to NYU. I studied with the Atlantic Theater Company, and I was an actor there. And I would say during my time in college, I started to think about other careers in theater that I might want to pursue. I just saw I saw how much dedication and hard work and how just everything that goes into being a working actor. It's
Yeah.
relentless, as you know, and as I'm sure a lot of your listeners know. And I wasn't sure if I had the stamina or like the heart for that. I
Mm,
knew I loved theater, but I couldn't really see myself, getting up at 6 a.m. for EPAs every day and
yeah.
doing the things that so many actors do. And I started dipping my toes in other, areas. When I was in school, I stage managed one of our shows. And then after school, a few friends and I formed like a teeny tiny downtown theater company where we were all just wearing all of the hats.
I
And
love it.
so I got to, fundraise and apply for grants and do all sorts of things on that side. Um, and finding my way to casting was, you know, I knew of casting
Hmm.
obviously as a career, but no one teaches it.
Yeah.
And it's not something you can study in school, and I didn't know a whole lot about what went into it. So I started applying for internships, and I happened to get one at Tara's, and I think I was like a backup, you know,
Interesting.
recent, like I think someone had fallen out
Yeah.
for the spring or something, and Lindsay Levine, who is a
Hmm.
casting director who's fabulous, emailed me, and that was my very first experience in a casting office. After that, I interned a little bit at Judy Henderson's, and I've
Hmm.
seen how some other casting offices work, but Tara's was my very first time seeing everything that goes into it.
Yeah.
Um, and what I was drawn to, and I'm still drawn to today, is the balance between the artistry of the job and also just using your the other side of your brain
Hmm.
and being very analytical and organized and all of the like administrative work that goes into it, that does appeal to me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you're naming that as um a part of the job, in that
Mhm.
there's because I think in some ways many folks have this idea that okay, the casting director is the one that just does all of the scheduling and the calling people in and the sifting through, but to also name, and then there's I think the others that are like, oh, it's a creative thing, you're bringing folks in, you're involved with creatives, and I think to recognize that it really is this beautiful little marriage of both, that
Mhm.
you have the creativity to be like, okay, here's the project. We know this brief from the creative team, director, whomever. Who do we know? Who do we like? Who do we think might be a good fit? And then you get to bring your artistic vision in that way while also being organized on the back
Right.
end, to make sure that those people can get in the room and they have the appointments and all of the back end. So, how do you balance for yourself those two? I don't know if they're hats for you or those two areas of what it is that your job entails.
Um, I don't I would love to say I balance them. I think it's very my day to day, there's no like regular, this is what I do in the morning,
Yeah.
this is what I do in the afternoon. It absolutely depends on what has popped up, what's most time sensitive, what I need to prioritize. So when I have days where I can spend hours in the morning, going through old notes, clicking through YouTube, clicking through people's websites, really doing the fun artistic digging.
Yeah.
I love to do that, and I can get into a total zone while I'm doing that. But then once you're kind of into the process, you need to be bouncing back and forth a lot. There's a whole lot of, emailing, printing, typing, just very dry things that I don't know that everyone thinks of when they think of casting. I feel like a lot of people imagine us sitting behind a table and just like we appear there and then sit there all day and then we disappear. But there's so much just like running to Staples, things like that go into it. And once we're in a process where we're auditioning 10 to 6 every day for a week or 2 weeks, it's very administratively heavy. And you need to have done all of that kind of research, artistic work beforehand.
Yeah. What would you say are some of the things that you cannot live without in order to do your job, besides like a computer? But like, are there certain resources or ways of working that you're like, I live and die by my notes app, or like, I have a CRM on the back end with like all the people that I know, or like, what are some of the things that you love?
I mean, I love a Google Sheet.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the kind of thing you were asking.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, people have different ways of working, and I'm always curious about it, which maybe is just me, but I'm kind of always like, how do people stay organized?
Yeah, I do my best to stay organized, and it's very much like I live by Google Sheets. I also am the person, like, everyone in my office makes fun of me because I'm a real tabs lady. Like, I don't shut any of my tabs.
By choice, or like you love seeing them?
I don't even know that I love seeing them as much as I need to see them to remind myself of everything I need. So it's like, I'll have the Google Sheet for one show up, another show up, another show up. Here's a link. Here's like a bunch of resumes. Here's this email I need to send. It's almost like my to-do list in tab form.
I kind of understand that with my email. I kind of like, until the email's been, read, it acts as like invoice, inbox 15, and then finally 15 becomes 10. And I know that is, I have 10 things now I need to do in my inbox. So I relate to that. Okay. Somebody once turned me on to, it's called One Tab. I'm not sponsored by this, but you probably have heard this before. It's like, it's this little button that you put on as a little browser thing. And what it does is on the back end, it keeps, let's say you have like, this is so technical. People are like, why am I sleeping? But like, if you have, one browser open that has 5 tabs on it, and then you have another browser open that has 12 tabs on it, and you click the little One Tab on the back end, it still keeps them organized by the tabs that you have per your little screen. And you can always bring up that browser with the 10 different tabs that's saved without it being directly in your front.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. That is good. That is good to know. I think in certain circumstances I can use that. In others, I need to be looking at something right there.
Let's say you are in the creative, artistic part of pulling lists, inviting people to audition, scheduling appointments. Where do you look for folks? Do you keep track of folks? Do you remember? Do you access their information? What are you doing and where are you going?
Yeah. I mean, one part of it is that I will say every casting director I know has a really long memory. There are, auditions, people who came in when I was an associate on School of Rock, 10 years ago, who made an impression, and I still think of them. And that they might not know that. I might not be calling them in every month, but when something comes up that's right for them, like, they will have stood out in my memory. And then, of course, we keep, very organized notes from all of our auditions. I always go back through notes for if there's a show I'm casting and a role is kind of similar or has a similar vocal quality to something I worked on 2 years ago, I'll pull those notes back up. And of course, we are always looking to meet new people. We're constantly going to showcases, looking at showcase notes, watching those showcases, finding people online. A big task that we have the associates and sometimes the interns in our office work on is just digging into who was on The Voice, who
Yeah.
is having a big moment online right now, who was in the production, this regional production of this show 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just making sure we have a beat on everything that's happening and have access to that.
Yeah. You named something that I think is maybe like not controversial, but I am curious from like the social media or the optics part of it, right? Let's say you had been on The Voice, or let's say you haven't, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
how much of that matters, all like the catch-22 of like, well, if I don't have the job and I can't get the job, and how do I get the thing if I haven't had the thing, and the whole cycle continues.
Yeah.
For folks who, have either been in the position or haven't been in the position, like how do you recommend that they navigate the optics on the back end of like being found or seen, if they don't necessarily yet have those opportunities?
Yeah. I don't, I am still not like, I am never going to be like, you need a huge social media following, or you need to have been on a reality show. Like that is not how, I don't think that is true. And that's not how I approach casting. And that's not how most people I know approach it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, just to speak to what I was just talking about, and part of your question for people who have had that experience, like if that's something you bring to the table, great, put it out there. But I don't think people who are not social media stars should feel discouraged, nor should they feel like they need to be social media stars to get traction in the industry. Especially, I mean, with everything, particularly with a lot of what I end up working on with musical theater, like there are some very specialized skills that are first and foremost,
Like what would you say?
And I mean, even just like, can you actually sing this note live 8 times a week rather than one time in your, on TikTok?
Yeah.
Can you dance this? Do you have the stamina to do this 8 times a week? Are you like, for not a musical, do I feel like you're being truthful in this moment? And it's not just a moment we caught for 5 seconds online, but you're able to do this and interact with a real human being in the room and bring that truth and bring that technique to the project. And I feel like if you are looking to get found, I guess, or to kind of put yourself out there, or put yourself in a place where people can find you, one actionable item I tell every actor, no matter what level you're at, is to try and have a website. Or if you're not paying for a website, have some sort of place where I can just Google you or go online or fill it in, and I can see some videos of what it is you do. And I can see how to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many times, someone suggested someone, or I saw someone in a play and I want to see more of their work, and I'm Googling them and I'm looking to find clips and learn a little bit more about them. So have that accessible. And when you are doing work you're proud of, put it out there to people. If you met someone who taught at your school when you were there, if you went into an EPA and you really, kind of hit it off with the casting director, you liked their vibe, there is no harm in sending around, hey, I'm in this show, I'm really proud of it. If you or anyone from your office can come, I'd love to see you there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the reinforcement around being found, because then everybody's helping everybody, right? Like we're trying to, I think the reminder of like, ultimately we are all trying to make this all function. Like, and we all need each other in order to make it happen. And in order to do that, like, let's make our lives easier by helping one another, by like alleviating any of the little small micro things that become I don't even want to call it like a conflict, just like a little road bump. Like, let's just make this like a smooth little sailing moment that if you're findable, then you can reach me. And if you can reach me, then I can be called in. And then hopefully you're the puzzle piece for the thing that needs the answer. And then everybody's winning. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Like help us help you and vice versa.
Hi, actor friends. Talking to you. If finding the perfect monologue has you feeling stuck, I've got just the thing. I've put together a free monologue selection toolkit just for you. It's packed with resources, free and paid options, plus tips for choosing, editing, and customizing pieces to showcase you. Head over to jenniferapple.net/freebie and stop avoiding the auditions that ask for a monologue or waiting for the perfect piece to simply fall into your lap. Dive into this free toolkit that I set up just for you that'll set you up to feel agency over your process and artistry. That's jenniferapple.net/freebie and get started on finding your next go-to monologue. In the land of auditions, let's say you are found, or let's say somebody remembers you from over a decade ago and then they call you back in, or let's say you do a self-submit for something that you're really right for and you're specific, which we can talk about and put a pin in for like maybe the ways you like to receive that. Sure. When you are in an audition land, what exactly are you on the back end looking for? And I guess we can put this, if it all feels the same, and if for an in-person and a self-tape, we can talk about it as one big umbrella. But if it feels a little different, maybe we break it down between a self-tape and an in-person.
Sure. I mean, I do think it's a little different. There's not like a specific thing I'm always looking for. And of course, it will vary a lot depending on at what point in the process we are, what the project is. We've had so many conversations and have been given so much information that the actor isn't always privy to.
Yeah.
So just to pick up on one part of the question of like, I know I'm perfect for this, I'm submitting, I know I'm right for this. You don't always know. And according to everything you see and everything in writing, you could be the absolute perfect fit for a role. And there's just something we're privy to or some little piece of information that affects things. And like, that's why you're not being called in, or that's why it didn't go your way. And it's totally out of your control. And it's not that you didn't do a great job. It's just something about some decision that's been made, or maybe is in the process of being made, or maybe was made and then changed. Like it's constantly, it is a process, very much a process. But something in an in-person audition, when I teach, I talk a lot about how impressed I am by actors who are able to walk in and read the room. And that is something that, it's separate from the literal part of the audition where you are acting or singing. But there is also an element with any audition of, we're about to go into a long process with this person. We're trying to shape what's going to end up being like almost a family unit. You're with each other for so long through hard, stressful days. And you're looking for people who generally are kind, are hardworking, and you want that to be present in the room when you walk in. Also reading a room in so much as that, sometimes you're going to walk into the warmest, friendliest room in the world, and sometimes you're going to walk in and for who knows whatever reason, everyone's just silent and it feels cold. And just being able to take that in and still do your best work and know that whatever you're feeling is not about you. That is a skill that develops with auditioning over time, I think. And just realizing that whatever you're reading, don't let it affect you, and don't let it affect all the wonderful preparation you've done and the fact that you are here for a reason and you were brought in to do your best work.
Okay, I have so many things to say to this before we go into self-taping of it all. I think, it's, when I coach, it's like, ultimately you're booking the room. Like, I think, it's like, yes, you want to book the job, fine. But it's like, by booking the room, it's like the people in there are relationships, right? And it's like, when you go in there, like any interaction that you would have anywhere, it's like, okay, like you're meeting somebody where they're at and they're meeting you where you're at. And how can you, without putting anything on, how do you leave that lasting impression of who you are? I think we often just like forget that this is, again, like if we're really doing our jobs well, it's like we're trying to be human beings who tell stories. Like that's what we're doing. And if we're forgetting the human part of the job,
right.
What are we doing? I think, it's like the existential crisis of it all. But like really, there are so many people who can belt a thing or memorize some lines or make some choices. But like ultimately, yeah, do I want to spend some time with you creating? Do I want to be in that? And that's so big. And then I love that you're offering that as like the thing that you haven't even mentioned, the preparation part. Like for you, it's like in the room, that is the thing. Like, who are you? Let's come in the room and who are you? And are we meeting you? And do we like hanging out with you?
Right. And I'm not, and just to clarify, it's not to say that is more important than the work that's being
For sure.
done yet.
For
I
sure.
just feel like it is an element that is sometimes overlooked, or sometimes there's a like, what's the secret? What's the trick? What's going to make me stand out? And that's part that I don't know that everyone thinks about, is just like how you engage with the world around you.
Yeah. And you have control over that. Like, I think you were naming the fact that there's so many elements that we don't even know on the back end. Even if a breakdown came out and we think it's about us or whatever, we don't know any of that. So what do you have control over besides your preparation? It's also, like, how are you as a human being in that room?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is beautiful to hold on to when you don't have that luxury on a self-tape.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you besides the preparation? And obviously there are certain things I imagine that you're looking for, technically speaking, for various roles of, can this person do this thing at this point, blah, blah, blah. What else are you focusing on in the self-tapes of it all?
To be completely transparent, while I love what technology has brought post-pandemic to casting, and I love that taping has allowed us to reach more people and see a lot of people who we may not otherwise have been able to see.
Yeah.
For theater specifically, I don't always find it the most helpful medium. And that is because so much of what an actor brings to a role in the room is about like the energy and just something that I can't even define, but this quality that you feel when you're in front of them that doesn't always translate over tape.
Yeah.
And so with tapes, like when I'm watching them, often if there is a taping part of the process, it is because it's someone I really don't know their work very well at all. And I do need to see, this song, you need to belt this note in this moment. Are they physically capable of doing that? How are they with text? Do they, maybe I've only heard this person sing before and I've never actually seen them do scene work. Are they actively engaging? Have they made a choice? Do they have a point of view? Things that when we are watching, hundreds of tapes at a time, things like that will stand out.
Yeah.
Like, are they having fun also? Something that does read. And I remember as an actor being told, like, make a choice, have fun, things like that. It was always like, I don't know what that means. Like, what if it's the wrong choice? What if I'm having fun and it's totally off base? So I understand that it can be a little frustrating to hear, but if it's the wrong choice, I would still rather see you actively engaging and having like a point of view that this character is coming from than playing it safe. Because if it is a little bit small or generic, or it could be anyone playing this role, especially on tape, it's just not gonna grab me as much.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like if you don't make a choice, you can't get a note. I think about that often, where it's like, if you like, it's not strong and wrong because I feel like it's art, it's subjective. There's just, whether you like it or not is completely going to vary from every other person. But if you make a choice, and I on the back end, as in you on the back end, know what it is that the creative team and whatnot are looking for. And you're like, okay, clearly they have this idea of the thing, but I can see that they've done the prep for that. I can potentially give them the note to try it a different way if I see that they've presented something very specific, I would imagine.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I guess this is a potentially controversial question. Do you watch the tapes? I'm kind of asking this rhetorically, but like, you know, the misnomer that, okay, I'm sending in my tape, they haven't even really watched it, or how do I know that they're even watching it, or does it even matter what I'm doing through the whole thing? What is that?
Yeah, I mean, we do watch them. I hate the idea that if you're making a tape, it is not going to be watched, because particularly if we have requested it, we are going to watch the tape. If it is, I will say, if it's a situation where we're doing some EPAs on tape now, and I think it's clear that there's a cutoff of like, we're guaranteed to watch the first 150 or whatever the number is. We always want to find and meet new people. We will watch more than that, but truly only as much as we have the time and capacity. And it's not because I don't want to like meet everyone who wants to put themselves forward for something. It's because I literally don't have time in the process to get to every single one. But certainly, yes, if you're, you know, if you have put forward a tape that has been requested, we are watching it. Colleague, we've been talking about this because this is not the first time I've gotten this question. And a colleague said to me, she was like, I tell the truth, which is that I watch as much as I need to watch in order to know if this person is right or not. And that is accurate. And that's always, you know, we're not watching 4 seconds and turning it off. But if it's a 4-minute tape, I might be watching, you know, the first minute and a half, and then I might watch this certain pivotal scene where I really want to see how you handle a certain point. I just worked on the Phantom tour. I'm going to see if you can sing the cadenza and Think of Me. Because that will dictate, you know, the rest of how I view the rest of it.
It's lovely to hear. Again, you know, the pile of people I'm communicating with, y'all are saying a very similar thing. And I think, it's, you know, every moment matters. And also there are some moments that quote unquote matter more in the, like, you all know what it is and it has to happen that way. And I think for me, that feels like you're watching my tape. You know, you are knowing specifically what you're looking for, and you're taking the time to look for it. And I think, you know, obviously, like, yes, but I had this micro moment in this thing, and did they see it? And it's like, that's valid and a feeling that we all deserve to feel for the work that we put in. And ultimately, we don't know what is going on in the back end for these decisions to be made. For folks who have not had the exposure or the luxury yet, or maybe they're greener, to be seen by your office yet, you know, or to come in for an EPA if they're non-union, what are some of the ways that you like to connect with people who are, say, non-union, or folks who are newer to the industry or newer to your office? Like, do you love a headshot resume drop-off? Do you like an email that's inviting them to you to something? What is your preferred method?
Yeah, I like an email inviting us to something that you're truly proud of and think really showcases your work well. And I like a very specific, thoughtful submission. And by that, I don't mean like an essay about why you're right for it. I mean, you're not submitting yourself for everything that our office puts out that you think you could be right for, but rather there's something that's really speaking to you, and that is you're mindfully putting yourself forward for that. And we get snail mail submissions, and that is great, but we also have an info email on our website that gets checked daily. And that all of that gets forwarded to the casting director. So if you are, if you have seen we released an EPA for something and you're non-union, but you feel like you're really right for one of the roles, I would send your resume, send a little video to that email, specify what show it is, what role it is, and who the casting director is, and it will get in front of them.
Yeah. I will say from actual experience with your office that worked for me. I mean, this is like predating like the email land of, I mean, not that it wasn't emails, but like, pre-pandemic, that's how my journey with Bands Visit started. Like, it literally was, I had a couple friends in the Broadway company. I also may or may not have had the illegal breakdowns at the time. And I saw them, and I was unrepresented at the time. And it was like, well, I know I'm very right for this world. Here is a very short but personalized reason, like one little paragraph of like 3 little bullets of like, this is why you need to call me in.
Right.
And I dropped it off, headshot resume, to the door of the office. And a couple weeks later, I had an appointment. That literally happened because I do believe that like there was this specificity of like, I know myself, I know what I potentially bring to this, barring not understanding whatever's happening on the other side of it, and letting decisions be made however they need to be made. But again, remembering like, okay, I'm not dropping my stuff off for everything. It's like, this is a specific moment with very specific reasons. And then ultimately you got to let it go. But your office did receive that, and it with open arms, and then it worked. So.
Yes, I know. I feel like people had people with that, and with EPAs, people just talk about it, not the process, not actually working like that.
I booked a show off of an EPA. I booked Theory of Relativity at Goodspeed based off of an EPA.
Every show that I've worked on that is on Broadway, someone in that opening night cast came through an EPA.
Yeah.
Like, go to them.
Yeah.
We do meet people there. And even if you don't hear, within the next month, or truly even within the next year, we keep files, and that's how we do our job, is we refer back to that, and we're constantly taking notes and remembering people we saw a year, 2, 3 years ago who made an impression, and now the role that they're right for is available.
Yeah. And it's also, you're going back to like what you were saying about yes, we get the virtual aspect of it, but to get in the room with somebody is a luxury that we don't have as much anymore. And if you see a casting person's in a room that you are right for the show, it's an opportunity to get in front of them. And what a beautiful opportunity to get to like show your craft and meet a human being. And so, yeah, I mean, again, having literally booked a show from an EPA, I also, I can attest to that, quote unquote, working.
We love that. And from dropping off your headshot and resume for Bands Visit.
I know.
I love those stories.
I know. It's really kind of wild, and I'm here for it. Have you been using the same monologue for years? Are you gearing up to apply for BA, BFA, or MFA programs and need pieces for that process? Or maybe you just have no idea where to even start with monologue hunting? I get it. And that's why I offer monologue sourcing. This is a unique process where I find monologues chosen specifically for you. So many artists pick pieces based on external labels like type or for roles rather than finding material that represents who they truly are. So here's how it works. We'll meet virtually, and you'll share all about who you are, your passions, values, beliefs, and everything in between. Don't worry, I will help guide you through this process. Then I'll get to work finding monologues that fit you like a glove. With years of experience sourcing pieces for hundreds of artists, I've seen the difference it makes to have a monologue that genuinely feels like you. So, if you want to feel empowered about the monologues you bring into rooms and use for auditions, I would love to help you find them. And because you're a listener of the Empowered Artist Collective podcast, I'm offering an exclusive rate. Head to empoweredartistcollective.com/podcast promo to register and claim this special offer. That's empoweredartistcollective.com/podcast promo. I cannot wait to help you find monologues you absolutely adore. Having gone through all of the like iterations of a casting career, as in starting from an intern to co-owning a company, can you break down, I'd say, at least within, TRC, the ecosystem of functionality, as in like, what is an intern doing? What is an associate doing? Where are we going up the quote unquote rankings through your actual office of responsibility?
It is so mushy and so not defined, to be completely honest. And that's just part of the industry and this job in particular.
Great.
And especially because with casting, like, it is a very small business. We're working on tons of things, but we're a 10-person office, which in the scheme of the world is an extremely small business, but actually in the scheme of casting is quite a large office.
Yeah.
And even with 10 of us, we're all doing everything any given day. I would say, we're not having the interns go in and run a finals session for sure. The interns are often, we use interns who are in school and they're getting school credit, and they're often the people who are taping sometimes. If we're taping an audition, they do a lot of printing, they do a lot of supportive administrative help for the associates. And the associates are often, you'll see them in the room. We have 4 associates at our office who are fantastic and everyone loves them. And, they're always the people being super nice and bringing you in outside the room and making people feel comfortable. And on top of that, they're doing so much of the gathering materials, emailing each appointment out. You see them in session, and then when you get your call back at 9 p.m. that night, that's because they're still at Pearl Studios sending you your call back at the end of the day. And then the casting directors, we are generally the ones kind of leading the audition room, especially in cases where there are large creative teams present. We sometimes think of ourselves as like hosts, we've invited everyone to this audition and we're throwing this audition, and we need to make sure everything's running smoothly and kind of troubleshoot as things happen throughout the day. We, along with our associates, are doing a lot of the creative work as far as just deciding who's going to be coming in and, meeting people at the EPAs and doing the research to bring actors in. And we, I still send appointments and avail checks a whole lot, and so does everyone I work with. So there's no super delineation, but I hope that kind of answers.
No, it does. No, it does. I think, I think it's helpful for people to hear what's even in the ecosystem, right? Of like, what are we even navigating on a daily basis, which you somewhat already touched on earlier in the conversation. But just to know that, like, no matter where you sit, at least within your office, you're going to be touching it because it's very tangible at any point through one's journey on the back end of it as a casting director, intern, associate. You're still directly involved in the cog that has to make the whole thing work, which is really cool to know that you're not exclusively grabbing coffee. Sometimes you might, and then also you might be doing other things too.
Right, exactly. And like to say, for example, Tara still runs out and grabs coffee for tea, which is, she's amazing. And that kind of trickle down effect has affected our whole office. Like it's very much a mindset of whatever needs to be done in this moment, anyone will jump in and do.
But also, like, let's remember that somebody grabbing you a coffee is kind of like the best gesture ever. Like, I don't know where somehow that got a misnomer around, like, you just grab the coffee. It's like, actually, no, like, if you know my order, not that I'm specific, but like, if you know it and you've given it to me and I'm having a hard day or a long day, or I know I'm going to have one of those too, like, and you've handed me this gorgeous beverage for a second, and like, that it's no small thing. I think it's also just naming that, like, every little thing matters in order for the whole cog to work.
Yes. Yeah,
I love that.
For sure. I mean, these audition days often are just very long days with a whole bunch of different people, a whole bunch of different personalities in a room trying to create something with a shared vision. And that is not always cut and dry. It's constantly evolving, it's constantly moving, and just the little gesture of like, well, I have my comfort coffee and I have everything I need, like that just helps everything move forward more smoothly and keeps everyone, in a positive headspace.
For sure. Within your office, do people all touch all the shows and projects happening simultaneously, or do you delineate by show depending on the project?
We have point people for every show, so it kind of depends on the show and the timing. Sometimes we'll have co-casting directors on a show, or sometimes we'll have one casting director and 2 associates, or at the minimum, there's always one casting director and 1 associate assigned to a show. So those are the people who are super involved in the day-to-day, all of the emailing with the creative team. They're at the auditions and they know everything, all the details of what's going on. But it's very important to us to be collaborative as an office. And I think one of the great things about having as many of us as we have is that I may have seen someone at, this dance call who is so right for this other show that I might not be the point person on, but I can give that person to Kevin and, say, oh, you should see them for Death Becomes Her.
Yeah.
And we have, weekly staff meetings and check-ins where we find out everything that's going on with all of our projects. And so we can collaborate in that way, even though we might not know every single detail.
Yeah. I think this is something that people forget, is that like casting directors operate similarly in that y'all are freelancers. I mean, like, yes, if you have a show that, runs a long time, that's a different kind of thing, but you're still hustling to find the projects in some kind of way. So how do you secure your opportunities, your shows, your tours, your regional stuff, your Broadway, your whatever? Like, what are you doing?
I mean, we're hired by producers, and we are brought on through any number of avenues. It might be a director who we worked with a whole bunch, and we have a great relationship with, and the director asked the producer to use us. It might be a general management company who we have, who we know. And then there are certain producers who Tara has a history with, or they work with Mary Sugarman all the time. And so they come to us. But we are also always trying to meet new people and work with new people in the industry who are coming up and who are very exciting to us. And so we also, like, just as actors do, we send out our little emails and say, I see that you're working on this.
Yeah.
This seems like such an exciting show. We'd love to be a part of it. And we go about things that way as well, on top of the connections that we've built.
Yeah. Is it by staying on top of creatives that you're into and seeing where they are in the process of their work? Is it like, and by that I mean like keeping your fingers on like all of the projects, or is it again like trusting that there's somebody in the office who's like, hey, I just saw this one thing, actually we should do this. What are your thoughts?
It's both. We do all, I would say, have our fingers on the pulse of what's kind of going on in the industry and what is having a reading or what was just announced, what was in the briefing.
Yeah.
And we try and follow that. And then if there's something that's exciting to one of us, we will usually bring it to the other casting directors or the other partners and say like, hey, I'd kind of like to put us forward for this. What do you think? Does anyone here know anyone involved? How should we go about this in the most respectful but also advocating for ourselves way?
Yeah, very, very, very real.
Yeah.
Very relatable.
Yeah.
Very relatable. For anybody who is wanting to go down the casting director route, and you named it in the beginning that there isn't at the moment, like the educational structure of like, this is how you do it. And again, why this series exists, is so that people can recognize that there are many access points into the way you can enter into it and also the way you can do the actual career. But for you, what are some of the things that you would recommend for folks who are wanting to potentially dabble in casting land, whether they're like in the school of it all, like in undergrad, or whether they're at a point in their career that they're maybe trying to pivot out, or they've had a realization and an aha moment, and this is, they're in corporate and now they're here.
Yeah. For people who are in the industry in some way or are in school and maybe have come across casting directors either in a class at their school or through an audition process if they were an actor, there's truly no harm in reaching out and just saying, I'm thinking of a career change. I'm thinking of going into casting when I graduate. I would love to learn a little bit more about it. I would love to meet with you. I know time, if it's not an insanely crazy time in my schedule, I'm always more than happy to meet and have coffee with someone. And I know my colleagues are as well. And then if you're kind of coming totally cold to this, Casting Society of America is a professional organization that many casting directors belong to. And I believe this is actually how I even found my first internship. They have a listserv, and they will send out emails whenever a casting company or a casting director is needing help. They'll put it out on the CSA listserv, and often those are, entry-level assistant positions, and that's a great way to just kind of follow along with who's hiring, and get your foot in the door that way.
I love it. That's so helpful. Also, just like, I mean, the CSAs, I feel like slowly and surely, as the industry is recognizing how important casting directors actually are and how crucial they are to the whole process. I mean, not that I believe awards are anything. I have mixed feelings about it, but I think, there's finally a little bit of a coming to around like, hey, none of these people would be on this stage without the casting director.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, here's a thing. Maybe we should like acknowledge them at least. But I feel like at least in my sphere of influence, I'm starting to see a lot more from CSA around the work that they're doing. And there's some incredible people, some of my friends who are casting directors, like a part of it. And I had no idea that they have that list serve. And so that's really, really cool to know for folks who are wanting. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course. I think one thing that I just always want actors to take to heart, which is so much easier said than done, and I know, but is just almost like embracing the elements of auditioning that are out of your control and letting that, rather than letting that be something stressful to you, letting that free you up to just walk in the room, trust your preparation, have the opportunity to act and sing that day, and then leave it. Because what I get upset and like feel bad about is when I see actors kind of spiraling after a process, or just thinking through all of the things that they could have done, or maybe if they'd done this differently, or maybe this happened, or maybe they were going for this sort of person and that's why I didn't get it. And just now, with years of being on the other side of the table and hearing these conversations and realizing how little of this has to do with like the one choice you made, that's not the reason that you didn't book this particular job. And just because you didn't book this particular job doesn't mean you didn't do a fantastic job, and that you won't be remembered and called in again. And then when it is the right role, that's going to find you. Like sometimes it takes more time than others, but I guess I hope that is a positive thing that people take away from the fact that they don't always know all the decisions being made, is that there's not one thing they can do or not do that's going to make or break this.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It's definitely a reframe that I think with more time in my career at this point, I'm not perfect at it, but it's definitely something that I've really tried to lean into, which is I don't even love the word control, but like, what do I have control over? And that's like how I show up in the room and my preparation. And then as much as I could Pavlovian myself with a little cookie afterwards, no matter how it goes, like, to perpetuate the like cycle of reward around your preparation and showing up. And that is my job. My job is to do that. And how lucky I am that of a sea of hundreds and hundreds of people who submitted for this audition, I was given that opportunity. And to take the little wins as they come as very real wins. And the reframe that, yes, the luxury, unfortunately, but the luxury of this career thus far, and for most of us, is the ability to book something that you perform in forever. The job in day to day, even when you have the thing that you're in forever, the job day to day is to keep showing up. And how can you continue to cultivate those skills to let you do so in the most free, collaborative, open, tenseless way to give yourself the best shot for you.
And I love what you said about like a cookie at the end or a treat at the end. That is, I also do encourage, like, have something fun afterwards that you're going to do. Because it's just, it's a fun stop on your day on your way to do this even more exciting thing.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for going on this journey and for engaging in this conversation and sharing your perspective and insights. And I am so grateful for the time that you've given, knowing that your schedule is wild and inconsistent. So thank you.
Of course, thank you. And this was so fun.
Yay. For anybody who wants to find you, reach out, communicate, share, what within your boundaries are the best ways for people to find you?
If you want to email me and we do not already have an email relationship, email the info@thetrccompany.com and say in the subject line that it's for Claire and it'll get to me. If you want to learn about the shows that our company is working on, it's the TRC Company on Instagram. If you've met me and you want to follow along with my cats and my husband, my Instagram is Claire Louise WB. And if that's not of interest to you, that's fine too.
Honestly, we love the preface of this is what you're going to receive if you engage with
it
my
is.
personal life.
I do not have an industry-centric personal Instagram, so just fair warning there.
You live. Amazing. Thank you so much for being in the space.
Of course, thank you.
That's it for today's episode. I hope you walk away with some fresh insights, feel inspired, and a little more empowered to take the next step on your artistic journey. Remember, whether it's a small shift or a big breakthrough, every step forward counts. You've got this, and we're here cheering you on every step of the way. If you found today's episode helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe so you'll never miss out on the discussions we have each week. And if something today really resonated with you, please leave us a review. It truly is one of the best ways to help other artists find our podcast and join in on the conversations. Plus, we feel the love too when you do. And don't keep all this goodness to yourself. Share this episode with your people or post about it on social media. Be sure to tag @Empowered Artist Collective and @JenniferApple_ so we can see what's landing for you and keep the conversation going. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being a part of this incredible community. Keep creating, keep thriving, stay empowered. I'm Jennifer Apple. Until next time.